All right, in this video, we're going to talk about the cost of living here in San Luis Central Coast area. We're going to break down all the things that you need to know as you're researching the area here in San Luis Obispo, transportation, childcare, housing, all the things. So you need to stay tuned to the very end because we're going to have some good data, some current information for you as you're trying to figure out where you want to land here on the Central Coast. And we're getting to it right now. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. And if this is your first time here, welcome. And if you're coming back, we're glad to see you here. In this channel, we talk about real estate and lifestyle and everything in between, trying to help you figure out where you want to land here on the Central Coast. And today I have a special guest here, Josie, that's going to go break this down with me today. Feel free to reach out. We're getting calls from people just like you trying to figure out where to land here on the Central Coast. We absolutely love it. So if you need us, reach out, text, email, whatever you need to do to get a hold of us. As much as we like making these videos for you, I'm a licensed real estate broker and I'm here to help you. But, we want you to save some time and money bringing you this information. And so we're going to get to it right now. All right, so we're going to break down the cost of living here for San Luis Obispo, and we're going to use a metric that's used for the nation, national metric here for you. So we're going to explain what that is so you understand the numbers a little bit more. We're going to break it down so that you can understand it also and give you some specifics to our area. So, you're going to want to know what the ins and outs are of the expenses as you're researching the area. So hopefully this will help you out. So let's explain though what the cost of living is and what we're going to be breaking down for you.
So one of the things we're going to look at is what's called the cost of living index. And this is basically going to tell you how far your money is going to go in a specific area. So what we're looking at is the average costs throughout our nation is going to be starting at a baseline of 100. So for example, if something said you have a COI or a cost of living index of 130 in a particular area, that means it's going to cost 30% more than average in that particular area. So your money's not going to go as far. And conversely, if it says that something's going to be at an 80% on that same exact index, then that means that your money's going to go a lot further, and it's going to be 20% cheaper in that given area for that particular thing that we're looking at and to compare.
Right. So we're going to break each one down a little bit, give you a little bit of information about each one that we're talking about to try to help you, navigate, understand, what is going on in our particular area, because as we know, every location is different and we want to let you know about it. So we're going to do that for you. All right. So obviously things have changed for us since our kids were little and the daycare situation, but we're going to talk about childcare first. The number one thing, childcare. As families are moving in, we want to, empower you with the information so that you know what you're getting into as you're researching the area. So the first thing we've discovered is that, before you move here, you want to for sure, look into it. We're going to have a link to a certain company here. There is a site that you can go to, which is called care.com, to look for childcare. Another resource is obviously word of mouth. You're moving into the area, reach out to the people that where your employment is, people that are there, obviously friends and family that might be in the area. Facebook does have some groups, some Central Coast moms groups and things like that. So when you're working with someone to move into the area, that's why it's so important to work with a local professional realtor that will know that information for you. So be sure and reach out for that type of information specifically for the area that you're trying to get into, because there are waiting lists. There are waiting lists on all these locations. The places that we took our kids to are non-existent anymore. Okay, so it's been over 20 years, but still, and the girlfriends that I have currently that have had have little ones right now, they're either hiring nannies or, they're having to get on a waiting list somewhere that they're hoping to have their child, attend. as the years progress. So something to take note of, really research that, reach out to the community. Obviously the chambers, local chambers should have some information for you. But let's give you some real numbers of where that is for our area. I think across the board, childcare is probably expensive no matter where you're going to land and no matter what state. It's just in high demand, where you're going to leave your child. So let's give you the stats on that one.
So when we're looking at those national averages again, San Luis Obispo County ranks 57% higher costs for childcare than other places around the nation. So it's a big chunk of change right there. If you have family in the area, that's amazing. But for those of us, I had no family members and I had to have my kids in daycare at all times. It was, for some people, it's that balancing point of, is it going to cost me more money to have someone watch my children if you have multiple children versus working?
Yeah, so, right. So, and that's the one thing, like when my kids were younger, it was, 3 in childcare. One of us stopped working. So that's, so that those are just things that you need to really have a conversation with your family and your partner and see what makes sense for you. And what you're going to feel comfortable with, but it's going to be a chunk. There's just no denying it. But there are resources. Our area doesn't really have like a big facility per se, or where your employment has care like you see in the bigger cities. So just take note of that and just know that you want to really have that researched and secured before you make your way over here. All right. So the next thing we want to talk about for cost of living here in San Luis Obispo is food and groceries. We all need some nutrition and food. So I think across the board, again, we've seen inflation, we've seen costs go up on all avenues. The nice thing about our area is you have a farmer's market. You're always going to have fresh produce. You're going to have that at your fingertips. Tri-tip is a huge kind of meat that we have here, particular to our area. So you want to scour the sales for, on the weekends. We have a Costco, we have a Smart and Final, we have stores, that you can buy in bulk, and things of that nature here in San Luis proper itself, and most of the county. You'll be able to get a big box store to do your high. So no matter where you land here in the Central Coast, you'll be able to get to a store that will be able to give you things that you need in larger amounts, so that you can make your dollar go farther. So what do we have there for the food?
So as far as the national averages, it says it's about a 6% higher than other places. So like you said, some of that inflation, the numbers are up. But in comparison to other places, we're still a little bit higher, but nothing astronomical.
Right. And again, I just will always mention how we have the local produce, the local, vegetables and stuff like that are just going to be at your fingertips. And we do have some local farmers that have, organic meats available too, that you can get at different locations throughout the county. So there is that cost, and we're not immune to what's been happening all across the nation, so we are hit with that as well. All right, so the next one is obviously in my arena, both of our arenas, is the housing. So we want to give you some numbers on the housing for the cost of living in San Luis. So what do we got?
So our median home, $825,200, and this is 78% higher than any place else in the nation.
Welcome to San Luis Obispo. Affordability in housing has always been the case here. Our area doesn't necessarily, employment doesn't necessarily facilitate the housing prices, and that's just how it's been for decades. So that's what we have. So let's explore a little bit more on what's going on in the rental market. So in the rental market, according to Rent Cafe, the average is $2,400. Well, don't get too excited, because that's going to get you a little over 700 square foot home, a rental, most like an apartment. I would say, from what we know and living here and having friends and living here I've been living here for over 40 years, seeing the rental market currently, I would say you're closer to a $2,800, $3,200 mark to get something that's a 3-bed, 2-bath. Pets are a huge factor for people right now. So you really have to really get in with the rental companies, get your applications in, and have them really research and have you on the list so that when something comes up, you're going to have a fighting chance, because it's so well sought out, high demand as well. So when you're looking at the rental market and purchasing, that's where you have to do your research of which way is better for you. But those are our numbers. There's housing here that is just, depending on what caliber of housing you're looking for, it's available. So we can talk a little bit more about that. So reach out to us if there's a specific, property, there's acreage, there's beach homes, there's condos, there's different areas that are more affordable. So that's a whole video in itself. So we're going to table that. So just reach out to us if there's something, in particular that you want in that. But the stat is that we're just expensive. We're very expensive, but we're still the most affordable housing near the Pacific Ocean compared to Santa Barbara, up north of us, Monterey and all that. So definitely something to consider, if you're trying to figure out where you want to land in California. But those are our numbers here in San Luis Obispo. All right, so the next thing we want to talk about are utilities. What is it going to cost? What's the cost of living here in San Luis Obispo for your utilities? So we're going to kind of break it down. So the first thing we're going to talk about, just to let you know, is that San Luis Obispo itself is now moving over to everything being electric. Gas is very prominent in our area and has been for many, many years, but now California is changing, and San Luis Obispo itself is taking the initiative, and in new construction, we're seeing everything's going electric. So that's very foreign to us as natives. Gas is what we've been used to. If you're living out in the country, you'll deal with propane. That's a whole nother thing. But right now, just to let you know, electric is where we're heading. And that's not too expensive. Electric dryer, I have an electric dryer. It goes up a few cents, per usage, if you will. So we're seeing that. So you're gonna experience an electric stove. Then you have a trash can. You have your trash here. You order your bins. You have a recycle. You have a green waste, and you have your regular trash. You roll out your bins and out to the street a particular day of the week. And that's how we do it here in our area. So, and you have various sizes that you run. For the 3 bins around, you're talking about probably $45, $50 for electric bills. I think when I had 4 living under my roof, I was like $70, 40, not even that for electric, 50, something like that. So it's not astronomical. You don't have a bill like you do in Texas that's $400 to $500, which is what I've heard.
And so those utilities are about 2.6% higher than the average.
Yeah,
so
not terrible, not for
too far off the
average.
And
our water bill here, different areas are higher rate. We're definitely kind of cracking down on usage in our area. Definitely every city's doing what they need to do, monitoring that. It's California. We all know that we're in, drought and we don't have rain. So, that is something that you need to be aware of. Your water's billed every other month, and, it's generally about a 120-ish or something like that. And then we are very into low drought landscaping. So that's a huge thing that's prominent again in our area. So just be aware of that. You have your cable. We have cable here is usually Spectrum. And for internet, that runs you about $70 a month for the 5G, the top that we have here. And there's other private ones. And as you go out to acreage, you're going to have to get to know what's out there for those particular areas. So anything else you want to touch on?
Wireless usually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So then you have your cell phone providers. So the big one is Verizon in our area. And, if those, you get a plan on that, and the more people you have on it, the cheaper it is. That seems to be the top one that we have for our area.
It's got the best coverage.
If you're out and about and all that. Mm-hmm. So that's it for our utilities. All right. So the next thing we want to talk about with you is transportation, infrastructure, and gas. Here in San Luis Obispo, California, need I say more? But we're going to break it down for you so you have a clearer understanding of what's really happening in our area with those 3 things. So the first thing is we're going to give you some stats.
All right, so our gas prices versus the average in the nation are 58% higher. We looked at our 100-day average, and gas in San Luis Obispo was hovering around $6 a gallon. on there. So we looked at what are some of the reasons, and they said location, real estate prices, and traffic.
And so what we're seeing too is diesel is always pricier right now, depending on the location, as it was mentioned. Even within our county, like in Shell Beach, there's just a gas station that, has prices that are above that average by far. So more hard to get to prime real estate location will have that higher ticket price. So you really need to gauge yourself on the, where you're going to fill up your tank and do all those things. So yeah, gas prices are the talk of the news and all the things that we're seeing. And, we are definitely in that higher price point in that caliber. Now, the other thing I want to let you know about is our infrastructure here in San Luis Obispo. San Luis Obispo downtown, you're going to have a lot of one-way streets, really small, tight streets that you're going to maneuver around as you're commuting from San Luis. If you're going to get a job in North County or down South County, you're going to utilize what I've told you in many other videos is Highway 101. That's really hugging the coastline. You're going to be using that in either direction. You'll be experiencing some congestion during the high traffic times. Seems to be getting earlier every year, and that is around 3:30ish now. So you're going to maneuver that. And even our finger roads now are getting some pileups because they are now discovered. So that used to be a way that you can get through San Luis. The back roads on 227, another back road you'll get used to hearing about or utilizing yourself. So those are things, that you need to realize that we don't have like all these turnarounds, roundabouts, things that you see in the higher density cities to facilitate a lot of cars. We are definitely improving slowly. Again, the slow life. Every city is trying to do the best they can in that arena. But we are very backed up sometimes because there's just not many choices of how to get to point A to point B, So you really just need to take that into consideration. And then we'll go on to our public transportation. We just don't have big metros or a lot of buses that are around. We have one bus, the regional SCAT bus that's available. And you've just got to time that right. You got to know the schedules. It's pretty affordable, right? So what do we got for numbers there?
So we said that a 31-day general pass is $40. They do have discounts for seniors and people with disabilities. Fares, if you just want to hop on the bus one time, is only $1.50. And again, that senior discount, 75 cents, and children ride free.
Okay, so you have that option if you don't have transportation now. But the last stat I think I gave you was about 70% of people commute to their jobs, and it's generally by average about a 20-minute commute for most people that are working in the county, San Luis Obispo area. So hopefully that'll help you out a little bit. That's what we have for your transportation. A couple other highways that you'll familiarize yourself with, depending where you land, is Highway 41, 46, and then the iconic Pacific Highway 1, that goes alongside here too, and takes you all along. So, those are kind of our choices. You don't have like a 5 and a 210 and a 15 and all the things. And, if you look at a map, LA area or San Francisco compared to us, it's just really the Highway 101 is the one that you're going to utilize a ton. Okay, so the last thing we want to let you know about is healthcare. What cost of living here in San Luis Obispo, what healthcare, where does that range on the national average? What do we have?
So we are about 5.5% higher than the national average.
So, not too bad. We have different programs here in California. You need to have coverage, so that is a separate payment that you'll have, if your employer isn't facilitating that for you. And there are also programs that you can qualify for county-wise and, for the state of California. Something to take note of, depending on where you're at in your life and your healthcare, is that we have two main health facilities here. It's Dignity Health and Tenant Health. If you have something serious that comes up or somebody in your family has something like that, you are going to have to go to Stanford, somewhere up in the San Francisco area, which is a 5-hour drive, 5-hour drive, 3.5, that, or down to LA, another, 3.5, just depending on what what particular thing you're experiencing or what the healthcare is. But if it's something that you just need to see somebody once a year or twice a year, or just find somebody specific to something that's not a common thing to take care of health wise, then you're going to need to make that commute. But it's not that bad. Again, just timing it. But we do have those two are the main hospital or healthcare facilities, I should say, that are available to you. So if you want to research those, you can definitely Google them. I'll put some links for you too, so you can take a look at those and see what they offer. Okay, so the only way that we can help you find that sweet spot here on the Central Coast is you've got to reach out. You got to give us a call, text, email, day, evening, weekend. It does not matter. Just remember that we have your back when you're moving to the Central Coast, California. So until the next video, we'll catch you later.